toxic relationships. This idea is everywhere. I mean, this chart kind of tells you everything that you need to know. So we're going to talk about toxic relationships today, but not the crazy, explosive behavior that might come across your social media. Relationships, whether romantic, platonic, or somewhere in between, are complicated. Most people aren't outright villains, and toxic behavior doesn't always look dramatic. So today we're going to go through a few real-life scenarios where things aren't black and white, and then I want you to pause, think about who's being toxic, if anyone, and why. Cool, let's jump in. In this first scenario, our protagonists here are Mia and Jordan. Mia and Jordan are in a long-term relationship and have been living together for about a year. Lately, things have felt a little off. One night, Mia is sitting at the kitchen table, scrolling on her phone, when Jordan comes in looking frustrated. He says, I've been working extra hours at the office and still come home to help out around here. But sometimes I feel like I'm doing all the work. I don't even think you realize how much I do. Mia responds, listen, I know you're busy. I've been doing what I can, but I'm trying to keep up with my own stuff too. Jordan says, it's just really frustrating. I handle everything, the bills, the cleaning, the errands, and still, when I bring it up, I get brushed off. It's like I'm invisible. All right, 5 seconds to gather your thoughts. Who do you think is being toxic here? All right, so in this situation, Jordan is the one subtly exhibiting toxic behavior. While it seems like a simple expression of frustration, Jordan's language and emotional guilt tripping make it really difficult for Mia to respond without feeling inadequate. This I do everything for you approach can really wear down the other person over time, and that creates an imbalance where the person complaining is using guilt to manipulate or control the relationship dynamics. It's a way of making the other person feel bad without offering a solution or even considering their own struggles. Now, Mia, on the other hand, is trying to balance things and might be genuinely overwhelmed herself, but Jordan's complaint silences her perspective. So how could Jordan have approached the situation differently? Instead of coming in hot and listing his efforts like there's a scoreboard, he could have come in with a little more curiosity and openness. Something like, hey, I've been feeling a little overwhelmed lately. Can we check in about how we're splitting things around the house? That shifts the tone from blame to collaboration. Talking at your partner can make them feel guilty and close them off. It's important to open up a space where people can talk honestly about how they're doing and also what they need. If Jordan had done that, the conversation could have gone really different, leaving both of them feeling heard and accepted. Okay, let's move to the next scenario. We're going to shift from seasoned long-term relationships to early dating. So a little more tea with this one. Here's the scenario. Grant and Ethan have been seeing each other for a few weeks. They've had a few casual dates and things have been progressing well. One day, Grant texts Ethan asking if he'd like to do something spontaneous over the next weekend. Maybe a trip to a nearby town, or a day-long date with a few activities he knows Ethan enjoys. Ethan responds, saying he's not sure he can do anything too planned out or intense. Grant tries to keep the conversation light, texting back to ask if Ethan's okay or just feeling stressed. Ethan says he's been busy with work and it just feels like a lot. So now Grant starts to worry if he's coming on too strong or if his idea was too big of a jump after only a few dates. He really starts second-guessing himself, not just the plan, but how much enthusiasm he's showing overall. So when they hang out next, Ethan casually says he really likes how low pressure things have been feeling between them, and that leaving town that weekend would have been like a lot of effort. It's meant to sound like a compliment, but Grant really doesn't take it as that because he had been excited about it. Now he's wondering if that excitement makes him seem needy. Okay, who do we think? 5 seconds. All right, Ethan is subtly exhibiting toxic behavior here. Not through anything overtly cruel or dismissive, but through the way he creates emotional ambiguity. By responding to Grant's genuine interest with comments about things feeling like a lot or praising the relationship for being low pressure, Ethan indirectly signals that Grant's enthusiasm might be too much, even though Grant hasn't actually crossed any boundaries. This creates an unspoken dynamic where Grant starts to doubt himself. He begins pulling back, not because Ethan asked him to directly, but because he's trying to avoid being perceived as clingy or over-invested. The result is a quiet emotional imbalance. Ethan remains in control of the pace and tone of the relationship, while Grant suppresses his feelings in order to stay within what feels like acceptable limits. There's a different reality where Ethan sets the same boundaries and things are totally fine. But the reason it's problematic here is because of the way he communicates them. Instead of being clear about his needs or intentions, he uses vague language and passive signals that leave Grant unsure of where he stands. That kind of subtle emotional distancing can make someone really question the validity of their own feelings, which over time chips away at their confidence and overall sense of safety in the connection. Okay, let's move on to the final scenario, this time with a group of friends. Drew, Cam, and Jules have been friends for years. They have a group chat that's been active since college, memes, weekend plans, random life updates. Lately though, Drew's been responding less, not completely disappearing, just quieter than usual. One afternoon, Cam texts the group with a joke about a bar they all used to go to, and Jules follows up with a photo from a night that Drew fell asleep at the table. Everyone laughs. Drew replies with a laughing emoji. Then, wild that you still have that pic, LOL. A few minutes later, Cam says, "We were just talking about how you've been MIA, gonna start charging a reappearance fee." Drew responds, "Busy, not dead." The chat goes quiet after that. A few hours later, Jules sends a TikTok to break the silence. Drew doesn't respond. So what are we thinking? Is Drew ghosting? Was Cam being condescending? Is Jules poking fun with that photo? Let's take 5 seconds. In reality, nobody's really being toxic here, at least not in a super meaningful or damaging way. Drew's pulling back a bit, but not ghosting or lashing out. Cam's joke is a little pointed, but it's still within the range of, normal group chat teasing. Jules is more or less neutral. There's some tension, maybe a hint of passive discomfort, but no real emotional pressure, no manipulation, no power imbalance. To me at least, it just kind of hits like people are in slightly different phases, someone's checking out a bit, and the group hasn't figured out how to adapt yet. A little awkward, but not unhealthy. Yet. If it kept going like that and someone started weaponizing guilt or withdrawing affection to control the dynamic, then we're in a more toxic space. But as it stands, it's just a flat moment in a long friendship. Not toxic, just human. Well, I hope you enjoy this toxic, not toxic game show format. I always think it's helpful to let people form their own opinions before dropping tons of information at them. Some of these were pretty nuanced, so if you disagreed with any of the outcomes, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. We have tons more clinical resources on toxic relationships on our website. And if you feel like you're dealing with something more severe, please click that first link in the description to schedule a chat with us here. Thanks and hope to see you soon.